Okay, good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me know if you can hear my audio and see my screen in the chat box. Hope everybody's having a fantastic morning. Hopefully your trading's been going well. We've had some good trades last night. We had some losers, we had some winners, mostly bigger winners than losers, so that's a good thing. We'll discuss each trade in just a moment. So I'm excited to get into that. Before we get into our banker's close trade, though, I need to share a disclaimer. As always, I need to remind you guys about the risks involved in this market. You can lose all or more than your initial investment if you're not careful. So please be aware of how many pips you're risking on each trade, in addition to how big your lot size is relative to how big your account is as well, and ultimately how that would affect you. So make sure that you're going through that process each and every time that you take a trade. But yeah, let's jump into this, guys. So let me pull up my profile, my specifically for the banker's close, see what trade we should get into this morning. We took a awesome trade last night or yesterday morning in our class together on the banker's close. A seriously awesome trade. So let's jump over here. So 1 second, I'm just looking to see what's lining up. Looks like the Euro Franc's lining up, and perhaps the Euro Pound. Let's go take a look at these. That's the Pound Franc. Here's the Euro Franc. Yeah, oh yeah, I gotta sell that baby. Okay, I'm gonna sell this right now. We don't want to be late to this. I just took one glance in it and I was like, oh yeah. So I'm gonna hop into a sell here, kind of get a starter position built up, and then we'll kind of do that autopilot thing while we discuss our trades from last night. Okay, perfect. So that's a starter position. And I just want to look at the higher time frame to see what else is going on here. Okay, perfect. Great. So I honestly think this could come up to here today. So I'm going to give myself some room on these stops, and then I'm going to scale into the position. You guys will see that in just a moment. Okay. So I really liked the way this one looked. Okay. So zooming back into, we'll say a 1 minute chart. No, 5 minute will do. 5 minutes, fine. I'm gonna just kind of put in my sell limits to scale, right? In case this market wants to go up a little bit more, I want to scale into the trade. Again, this is just the banker's close scalp, right? So we're just scalping this lower, and looking for the market to make a little reversal from this little high that it made today. And that'll be the banker's close trade. Okay. And actually, real quick, let's recap after we have all this set up. Also, these targets, it's fine. Probably, yeah, right through here is where you'd want to have most of these targets. Right through here. And I'll even scatter a few down below. That looks good. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like it made kind of an extreme low. Let's see, how long was that? That was a couple hours ago. Now it's come back up again. And so I'm just kind of looking for a continuation to the downside of this at the end of the day, which should be good. I totally suspect the market should give us that later today. So that's kind of what I'm expecting here. Okay, great. What else do we need to chat about here? I think that's really all we need to do for the banker's close. We can let this sit now and do its thing. I might just add 1 or 2 more trades right up here, just to kind of scale in a little bit more to this. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, so we should be able to just let that trade sit for the next hour or so. So again, just as a reminder, the banker's close hour is between 4 p.m. GMT and 5 p.m. GMT. So we have another 55 minutes until the London banks close. And so we should see a phenomenon take place, a banker's close phenomenon take place in the hour. If it does not happen in the hour, that's okay. As long as we have the trades built in going into the hour, that's fine. And then typically following the hour, the market can do what we need it to do. So, okay, so cool stuff there. Let's recap our bankers close trade from yesterday because it was absolutely legit, right? Like we took just a phenomenal trade last night on this. Let's go ahead and plot these. Let's see. Actually, I think I can probably just, let's see. This is 5 a.m. GMT. Let's see. We were trading together. Actually, oh no, it was on the pound franc. I was like, why is this one doesn't look like it? It was on the pound franc. That's why. Let's head over there. Yeah, here it is. So I'm gonna delete all that. Okay, check this out. So I'm gonna plot my trades. This cool tool I have on this platform. I can literally just show you every single trade I've taken on this pair. Here they come. It'll just take a second. There they are. So those are all the trades we took. That's the banker's close trade from yesterday. So we literally just came in here and just bought up this trough area right here. You had a nice banker's candle, right here, and the market really respected that. Basically, it came right into it and just held, and we just bought down in that low there and then just held through the next couple of hours. So the banker's close hour was technically started right here. So we pretty much entered right at the banker's close hour, and then it ended right here. And you might think to yourself, well, why, hey, Steve, why didn't the big move take place in that hour? It doesn't have to, guys. Like it can literally, like as long as you have the trades executed in the hours following is when you can get the follow through. Sometimes we get the follow through in the hour and that's great, but it doesn't always happen. So the key takeaway is you want to have the trades in and ready to go before the hour, or in the hour, excuse me, and then let those trades ride for the next couple of hours is perfectly fine. You're just riding pretty much the last move of the day. That's all you're trying to grab, the last move of the day here. And yeah, so that's the banker's close in a nutshell right there. So we're just doing the same thing now, just on the opposite side. We're shorting instead of buying today, and it's on a different pair. We think that this pair, at this hour of the day, sure, it could go against you quite a bit. It has that potential, but in all reality, it should not. Like it should just, maybe it comes up a little bit, but then by the later in the day, like you could have something like this where it comes up a little bit and then it just falls apart, right? And you hit all your targets. So that's kind of what I'm anticipating, is something like that. So just be aware, like, often I do leave this class in a drawdown. I don't always get my profits in the class. But as long as we have our trades ready to go and where they need to be, and the targets where they need to be, and the stop losses where they need to be, you can just leave the trade on autopilot at that point, let it do its thing. One other reminder for those of you that are kind of newer to the banker's close trade, the way I trade this is I scale in to the position because I know this is possible. I know that that move against me is possible, but even more likely is the move in my favor. And so I look at the move against me in the hour of the banker's close as an opportunity. I don't look at it like, oh my gosh, this trade's going against me. I look at it more like, oh, hey, that's an opportunity. With that said, I do a couple of things. First of all, I do have what I call gunpowder. Like I have lots of trades capital ready to deploy if I need to, as this thing goes against me. So I can kind of what we call build the position. We're building the position. Now, it takes a little bit of a balance and understanding like what your account size is, where your stop loss is generally at. Because if you hit all your stop losses, you have to ask the question, like, would I be okay? Like, is this too big of a loss, right? These are real legitimate questions that you have to answer because I'm not trading on your account. Like for me, I can tell you what I'm doing, and then you guys can decide what you want to do based off of what I'm doing. But again, it's totally in your court. So like I do a starter position of 20 micro contracts, and I do them in 2 micro contracts a piece. So it's 10 trades total. That's my starter position. And then I just build the position as it goes up. So I'm adding to the position um, up to, strategic levels. I consider this to be a strategic supply zone up here. So, that's why I've got all these trades kind of built up into there. And let's see what else I was going to say about this. And yeah, like I'm willing to go, like I have a half a contract total currently. This account can trade much more than that. Like I can leverage more than that, but that's how I feel comfortable. And it's also the amount where I think to myself, where, I look at this and I say, okay, if this trade goes in my favor immediately with that starter position, that's still enough money to make the trade worth it. Or hey, if this trade goes against me a little bit and I add to the position, how far am I still comfortable, and am I going to get the profit I'm still looking for? Or is this trade just going to go against me and I'm going to lose big time, right? And you have to kind of balance all those things and do that kind of due diligence beforehand, right? All right, but we've traded the banker's close so many times now that I kind of have an idea of how far this trade will go against me before it goes in my favor. In fact, I back tested this exact pair over several months, and the worst drawdown I ever encountered with this pair was 40 pips in the hour, or like within the next like 2 hours of the trade. So that is a possibility. Like the trade could do that. Let's see, from where we entered, which was like right here, 40 pips would basically be where our stop losses are right now. So, I kind of have an idea of how far I know this trade might go, and how comfortable I am with it, right? All right, guys. So that is awesome. We recapped yesterday's Bankers Close. That was super legit. What did we make? We made like 270, 290 pips. I don't know. It was absolutely awesome. Hopefully we can do the same thing with this trade today. That's what I'm looking forward to, is, a duplicate of, the other day. That would be awesome. So let's grab, okay, so let's do this now. Let's probably, now that this is just ready to go and we can let this sit and do its thing, let's talk about some of our trades from last night. So I'm going to pull this over. I'm going to pull up my other profile. Let's do Banker's Candle. Yeah. And let me pull the watch list. Okay, cool. Move this over. Okay, so I've got 2 trades that are up right now. Same trade. I have one trade that's on since Friday or Thursday night. It's this NZD CAD short. I'm up $471 on that one. My USD yen has been doing good. Like it's actually improved. It's up 530 bucks now, which I'm really happy about. And then we had a mixed bag of a lot of trades from last night. If you look here, you'll see my account history. So these are a lot of the trades that we posted and took together. All of these trades are trades that closed last night right here. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but I had a trade close. I re-entered the NZD dollar long. We'll talk about that one. I don't know why I took these 2 trades on the Aussie yen. That's not something that you guys took with me, but I took those 2. I closed them both. One made $12 and the other one lost 5, but it's not something we took together. And then this one, this was awesome. This pound yen. Oh no, this one was just okay. That was just another continuation of the trade that we took. And then let's see. The really awesome trade was this one right here. This pound yen long position. We'll talk about that. Kind of bummed about this euro pound, and I'll show you why, because I missed this. Okay, look at this, guys. This is my trade on the euro pound. That's my buy. Why did that not execute? It must have been in the spread. Look how close that was. Look at that. My buy is right on that line right there. Let's go to a 1 minute. Let's see if it's still on there. Let's see. Yeah, you can see it barely touched. So it must have been the spread, but like I'm pretty mad that that didn't I had a buy right there. You can see it. We had a buy. Did any of you get filled on your own brokerage accounts? On your own accounts, I guess. I don't know. I never got filled, but I'm kind of mad because I'd be up 23 pips right now, and my max drawdown on that trade would have been like 0 pips, right? 0 pip drawdown, and you'd be up, 23 plus pips on this trade right now. So I'm kind of mad that that didn't trigger. Let's actually talk about that one first. Yeah, isn't that annoying? Just absolutely annoying. But maybe that's just an opportunity for us to go back and trade better. We just need to trade better. So if we go to the euro pound, you can see our buy zones. I guess maybe I did draw the buy zone just a little too low for this, but this buy zone lost. I lost on this trade straight up. There's no, no, I mean that just lost that trade. And you can see that loss right here. And that was my biggest loser last night. Basically that trade was based off of this supply zone or demand zone, excuse me. And if you go back and look on I guess a 5 minute works. Yeah, you can see this is a supply zone, right? Like whatever the banks did right here caused this massive move to the upside. So I was like, oh, let's buy there. The next demand zone was this right here. Okay. Obviously, this is a very obvious one right here. And so I said, okay, great. Let's go ahead and buy as soon as it dips into here, and we'll go, and the rest will be history. Well, it basically came within a pip of that zone and then started going up, right? So what do we do to correct that? What do we do? I don't know if you can, other than maybe what we do in the future is we just enter a few pips above the zone, right? Like just try to time the market just a little bit better. That would hopefully get you into the trade is entering just a little bit early. And when we're saying early, just going a few pips early type of thing. I don't think that's going to hurt anybody going a few pips early on a trade, especially if it's going to help us not miss really fantastic trades, because this was obviously going to be great. And that's what my thought process was on this is, hey, if this supply zone fails, which it did, lost $1,000 on that trade. My thought process was, well, no big deal. We'll get it all back on this supply zone, right? We'll get it all and more, right? Which, speaking of, this probably has more to go to the upside. The euro pound, honestly, will probably, because this was the only supply zone in sight after it broke this one. I imagine, tell me if I'm wrong, but I have a really strong hunch here that this euro pound is probably going to just keep ripping to the upside, because it came into here. Barely, just the banks were so excited to buy this that they didn't even let it get to the demand zone, right? It's kind of annoying, right? But we work with it, right? We work with, oh yeah, and Jared, yeah, Alvio missed it. Yeah, that's annoying. Yeah. And I don't think it was just Alvio. I think it was like a lot. I missed it on Ftmo and a few other places, but so we just need to get better at taking better entries on this type of thing. And I think just a solution to that would be, when I draw these zones out, just give us a few more pips above that zone, and I think that should solve most of the problems. We could consider too, another thing. Here's another thought process I had with that to help us save some money. Most of these trades, I don't know if you guys have noticed, if the supply or demand zone is going to hold, usually it's going to hold quickly. So you might as well tighten the stop loss. Like, maybe instead of using that whole zone here, maybe we just go like that. And then, yeah, give us a little more on the upside. So we're expanding the entry. We're making the entry a little bit more accessible to the market, but we're also at the same time cutting that loss a little bit sooner. See, this would have been nice on this guy. For example, had this supply zone not held, maybe we had cut the loss right there instead. And then, so the adjustments that would have worked great for you and you and me would have been to enter right there on this trade, on that demand zone, cut the loss in half. So now you lose $500 or $600 instead of 1,000. Okay. And then on this trade, cheat the entry up just a few pips, cut the stop loss down, halfway as well, type of thing. You're golden. You are absolutely golden at that point, right? Anyway, that's just some thoughts. Like, I feel like I would need to back test it some more, but I think you guys would all agree that like it's worth back testing to save some money on some of these zones. All right, so that was my worst trade, and it's also my most frustrating trade because we had a way to create revenge here. Like the whole time I set this up, like back on Friday when I set this trade up, I just knew, hey, if this market dips into here and we lose, have no fear. I'm going to get it all back on this next zone that's just, 20 pips away, 10 pips away. I think it was a great plan, but we didn't quite execute. Like we didn't quite get in that. So that's the single part. Could you get back into this? Yeah, I think the euro pound will probably continue up. My only problem and qualm with adding into the euro pound now is where you're going to put your stop loss at this point. Like one of the cool things about buying and selling at these supply and demand zones is if you buy right at the zone or sell right at the zone, you're going to get phenomenal reward to risk ratio trades, like the type of trades where you're going to put in, you're going to be able to get 3-to-1, 4-to-1, maybe 5-to-1, at least at the very least 2-to-1. We don't look at 1-to-1s on these anymore. Like you're going to get a 2-to-1 trade, 3-to-1 most likely as well. And then there's also the potential to get 4 and 5s out there too. So I mean, that's what keeps you in business, guys, is when you have those huge wins. So when you do, like last night, we had several losses, but we also had several wins, and the bigger winners are what kept us in business, right? So anyway, we'll talk about some of the more fun stuff now because we did have some good trades. I took this trade here on the pound. Yeah, and we took a couple of trades on the pound yen. I'm not sure why this guy closed for a loss. I should still be in that one. I'm not sure what's going on there. Anyway, I lost 281, but this is the biggest trade that has closed from last night. I made over $1,200 on this trade, and it was on the pound yen. Basically, here's what I did. If you pull up the pound yen on TradingView, here's my entry on this. It was based on a 5-minute chart. It was kind of an overnight scalp. What I did is I did a couple of things. Pound yen I was already short, right? Like I'm still short on this. In fact, I should. That's what's so crazy. Why did these close? I should still be in this trade. Okay, I got to figure out what's going on. Like that is so crazy. I'm really frustrated right now because I didn't tell the market to close out my pound yen yet. I should still be in the pound yen short. Anyway, what I was doing last night, and I'll have to investigate what was going on. The market was basically up here last night in this area on the pound yen 5-minute. And I said, okay, I want to short this still. I still had a short on. I added another short with a take profit right here. So I wanted to close out that trade for, in fact, did I make my profit on that other trade? Yeah, so I did hit my take profit. I made $249 on that one. Okay, so I'm not complaining too much anymore, right? So I made $249 on that one. And then here's where I made most of the money was this. So this was the last supply demand zone, right? Like you had this market that created this, whatever this mechanism is right here. The banks created this, and whatever they did here is what allowed this market to just shoot up 100 pips plus 100 pips. So I put a little zone through here, bought right on that right there, very minimal drawdown. Like, right, we're talking about 10, 11 pip drawdown max. And then this thing just went to the sky, which is awesome. It just retested this area. I got out up here, made 68 plus pips on that trade, $1,200. Okay, quick little overnight scalp. And then my goal was to stay short. In fact, I think honestly, I'm mad. I'm really mad right now. Let me go to the pound yen because I'm not done with that short. This is a longer term short trade. Um, the trade should do what you tell it to do, right? Am I right? Okay, so I'm back in on the short on the pound yen. And then let me replace my stop loss where it should go. Basically on the hourly. So this, okay, I got a lot of junk on here. Okay, let me show you what I'm doing on the 5 minute still. I actually still have another buy in here. So I I'm done with this trade. This trade already made its money, right? Like this little scalp, boom, that trade is done. I have another trade or another couple of trades pending right now. I have this guy. These are going to be great. So my overall picture on the pound yen is to sell it right now. On the hourly, it looks like a sell on the higher time frame. And we'll explain why that is again, but there's going to be buys along the way, really substantial and great little buys. So I have a buy ready to go right here on this zone, right here, and I have another one ready to go on this one. And that's again, same thing with these trades. I have at least 2-to-1, maybe 3-to-1 reward to risk ratios on these setups, right? Looking to buy here, come back up to this area, perhaps looking to buy here, looking to come up to this area, right? Get at least 2-to-1, maybe 3-to-1 on that trade. So I have some other trades ready to go, but in the meantime, let's delete all this stuff. My overall picture is to still sell this. So I actually might have a buy and a sell along the way. Like my overall trade is to sell this, but I may hedge for like a time like I did last night. I put in some buys. I put in, a buy right on that line right there and then got out when it came back up to there. And the whole goal was to stay short. So I'm just flipping mad right now, like so angry at the market for doing me dirty. I don't know what the heck happened, but it's okay. So, okay, so you come to an hourly chart here and you can see what we're doing. Let me do this. Okay, here's what we're doing. So this market's been coming back up since Friday, right? And it's up into this area, and this is a zone that I drew out. I was going back to find out. I wanted to find out, okay, this market's been coming up for the last little bit. When is it going to start coming down? So this is a zone to me right here. I drew this one out because whatever the banks did right here is what caused this substantial move to the downside, right? It was the last thing that happened before the market just got disconnected and just headed south. So that's a substantial zone right there. So now that you've got that figured out, you draw that out and you come over here and sure enough, like this is the market's finding a lot of trouble trying to break above that. So I have, a stop loss, up here above that zone. And then obviously I sold right there originally. And I'm selling again. I just barely sold again, trying to expand this profit. And yeah, since this is on a higher time frame, like there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to target at least to here, perhaps even to here or even down here. And look what that does to your, oops, let's do a sell trade. Look what that does to your position if you put in a short right there. Stop loss goes there, right? And then your target, you got several options on these targets, but right here would be 2-to-1, right there. 2 is 2-to-1, okay? And then a 3-to-1 would put you right there. And that's not unreasonable to ask the market to give you that. That is not unreasonable to ask the market to give that to you. In fact, I think you could even try for just a little bit more than that, but we'll just stick with 3-to-1, which is again right there. right? Not unreasonable to ask the market to do that for us. Okay. So, and how many pips is this trade, guys? Like if this trade wins, that's that's a monster trade, 339. 339 times my $25 a pip. Yeah, that's $8,000 trade. Now this has a weird, the pips on the pound yen are not created equal like they are on some of these other pairs. But yeah, it would be, definitely over $5,000 on that trade, just on the lot size that I'm using. If I can get this one to win, we will see. We will definitely see what happens with it. Okay, so that's another trade that I'm in right now. We're just gonna wait, let that do its thing. Okay, what other trades do we need to talk about over here? So we talked about the pound yen, we talked about the euro pound. At this point, the euro pound long position we can close. We don't need the euro pound anymore because it's over. It just barely missed. So that's unfortunate. That's a trade that never was but could have, right? Anyway, move on, move on, move on. Okay. What other trades did we take last night? Oh, I did have a loser on the USD CAD. It was very small, minus $168. And I think I know what's going on with that one. If we pull over, oh man, that stinks. I was really close. Let's go take a look at TradingView. It's okay. Like we want to get in the habit of taking small losses. Ah, this really stinks. You can see it already. Let's go to a 5-minute. Oh man, I can already tell that stinks. I was right idea though. Definitely right idea. Look at this. So I put in a little buy last night on the USD CAD and I lost, barely got wicked out. So this was my zone. Let's talk about why I drew a zone there. If you come over here, this was a structure point right here, and we had a break of structure. What caused the break of structure? I looked at this and I said, well, it's definitely whatever the market was doing right in here. Whatever they decided to do, obviously a little consolidation on a 5-minute is what caused that to break higher. So I said, okay, that's my zone. And I drew this over. I drew my zone over, kept drawing it. And I said, okay, I want to buy at that zone and stop out at the bottom of the zone. And obviously, right idea. I just guess my zone was a little too small, but that's okay. I mean, it was a really small loss, but you can see, definitely on the right track on this trade. But it was it was like my smallest loser. Like I lost $168. Everything else made a lot more than that. I did have, the euro pound was a little bit more of a nastier loss. And that's just because I was willing to take that bigger zone on it because at the time I was thinking, well, if that loses, I'm just going to get into the next zone and make our money back, which, yeah, we already talked about that. Okay. So this trade, what could I have done better? I mean, I wouldn't have re-entered here. The whole idea would have just been to scalp this. So maybe just expanding that zone just a tad, right? Just a tad would have been all I needed. I wonder if that would have made sense over here. I don't know. It's hard to say because, some trades just hit those zones and immediately go in our favor. And some trades you need the whole zone. So it's hard to say, what would be the right response to this. But anyway, I have another zone drawn out. This is another one down here that I'm excited about. If the market can come back into this, I would definitely like to consider a buy opportunity. So I'll draw this one out for you guys to see. I do have a trade sitting right here. I don't know if it's going to hit. It would take kind of a while for this market to come into that. I don't know. Well, I guess it's only 50 pips away. But yeah, if the market dropped 53 pips, I have a buy ready to go right here. That would be my next area of interest. The only downside of this one is it's kind of confusing. Like maybe this is the zone. Like, the zone's kind of jumbled into a lot of stuff here. I think honestly, you really just want to buy just to keep your losses small. just buy that first dip into the zone. If the dip works, if it just rejects from that zone, great. If it doesn't, then maybe it's not the best trade to take. All right. Last trade I want to show you of the closed trades. This was an awesome trade on the Kiwi dollar that I took last night. Let's see, where was this one? Where did I get out of this one? So I entered at 0.60952, 0.60952, 0.60952, right there. So I bought right there. Dang, I should have hung on to this trade a little longer too. That's where I bought. Why did I know to buy right there? Or why did we know to buy right there? Yeah, you just come back over here just a little bit on the 5-minute chart. This is just genius, right? It's this right here. So you come back and see, okay, here's the structure point, right? Here's structure. What caused the market to break its structure? What caused that huge move and then subsequent rally forever? It's whatever the market did right here, right? So we draw this out. We say, okay, this is our zone, right? And we go ahead and draw a little purple box. Those are really nice little tool here. And then you draw it over. And then this is a buy zone, very, very accurate buy zone. Okay, so I will be honest with this trade, guys. This trade I did lose, similar to that USD CAD, but I re-entered. So you can see here I made $602 in the win. Right here, I lost another trade for minus $335. So I did lose, one USD CAD. The first trade I did lose on the zone. I looked at my work and I was like, you know what? We need to stay in this trade. So I re-entered. So to be fair, that's how that trade turned out. Okay. So you can see here, it barely tapped into the stop loss. And then I was just like, what is it doing? So I re-entered and then wrote it. I'm not exactly sure how far I wrote it, but it was enough to cover the loss and still make a profit. So this brings back the question, like, do we need to expand these zones out a little bit more? Because obviously this was a phenomenal trade. But if the original trade got stopped out, so is this the type of thing where do we still go with that concept of tightening the stop losses, or do we expand these a little bit? Because all we would have needed would have been, like, if it had been there, we would have been fine on the first trade. We would have never taken a loss. We would have only won on this trade. So how far is that? I guess this trade, I mean, all we would have needed to do is included this entire candlestick right here in addition to this kind of consolidation. And that would have been enough to win on this trade. I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. I guess I got to do some research and look into it, but we're on the right track. We're definitely on the right track with a lot of these trades. We're obviously getting some wins, but I wonder if we need to work on how we're drawing these zones out just a little bit better. Right, obviously stellar trade. Okay, so actually I want to check on this. Okay, good. It looks like our Euro franc trade's not doing much. It's just kind of sitting around break even, just a little bit down right now. So we'll just let that sit and do its thing. Okay, so what other trades do we have? So those are all the closed trades. We just still have some open trades. Obviously, I re-entered my pound yen short. I still want that guy. Oh, did I put my stop loss and target in on that one? No, I did not. Okay, I'm glad I checked. That would have been a disaster. A pound yen trade with no stop loss or target. Right. Yeah, pound yen, you definitely want to have your stop loss and target in on this guy. It can go bad pretty fast. Okay, so we want the stop loss at the other side of that zone that we talked about, right? This is the zone right here. That is a stop loss of 95 pips. Okay, it is on an hourly time frame, so obviously it's, it makes sense. Where am I going on this trade? I'm going to say, honestly, I, I'm going to say back to here. So back to kind of where this whole thing started. That I think I can get that out of this trade. And that's going to be nearly $6,000 if that trade wins. As you know, I do have some buys along the way. I've got some other bankers close 5-minute trades set up. Not bankers close. These are, that's a zone right there. I'm looking to buy in. Here's another one I'm looking to buy in. So I do have some buys along the way, right? I'm trying to work with. We'll see if the market comes in and pauses and goes up from there. We'll see what happens. All right. USD yen, that trade is doing well, right? Let's go take a look at that one. Really happy to see its response. I was a little nervous about it yesterday. I don't know if you remember, but I was nervous. So this is based off of an hourly time frame. Let's get ourselves oriented here. Okay, so here's where we are. We had that big CPI news a couple weeks ago that caused this big move down, right? Obviously, it formed a consolidation, hit a zone down here and came up. And then I've got a new zone drawn out. So this zone is based off of, it's a little bit of a different type of trade. It's based off of the banker's candles. So this last green candle is the last candle up before this big move down. And so that is a classic banker's candle trade, not banker's close, not looking at zones necessarily. It's just a candle that I'm focusing on. And it's just a strategic candle, right? It's a very large candle that happened right before a big, massive move to the downside. You got to pay attention to that kind of stuff. So I drew that candle out, drew this box out, and I said, okay, I want to sell if it comes into that candle. And sure enough, it came into here. I drew down for a little bit, and then I'm still in the sell right now. The question is it going to continue lower, or is this just a continuation to the upside? Maybe this brings us back to yesterday. It hasn't just immediately, it hasn't just gone down decisively. Let's put it that way. It hasn't come up to here and then just been like, great, let's go down. It's been quite the battle to go down. So maybe those are signs we should look at and say, maybe we just take our profits on this trade. I am up, over $500 on this trade. Maybe it would be worth it. I'll consider it. I'll talk to some other people. I'll do some more research. But you should have, if you don't get an answer from me, obviously I'm keeping the trade. But if you do get an answer from me, obviously we're going to close the trade. So I'll let you know. But for now, I'm going to keep it, let it do its thing. Last trade that we have on is the NZD CAD, right? And we've been in this trade since Thursday night. And it is up $600, which is awesome. I think it was up more, or maybe not. Maybe this is, oh no, it was up more at one point. You could see it was up like a lot right here. But it's still up a lot. We sold right there. Isn't that so cool, guys? Like, look where we sold. Just look at it. I mean, it's just so fun to reminisce about that. Like, we sold right there. I mean, it would have been cooler to sell right there. But think about the time that's elapsed. Literally think about this. How much time has elapsed since this happened and before this happened? This time, like the time the market spent up in this area, even when it was in a drawdown, was such a sliver of time. The sliver of time that the market was right up here is so small, like it doesn't even represent a tenth of the chart, a tenth of a percent. Like it's probably, I mean, think how many bars are on this? Let's find out real quick. So from the time it got triggered to the time it drew down and was in profit again, it's like how many bars? Okay, let's do this. It is, I'm going to count the bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bars. So it was in a drawdown for 7 bars on a 5-minute. Oh, which this was based on an hourly anyway. Let's just do that. So it wasn't even in drawdown for even an hour because we sold on the wick right there. Yeah, because it was based on an hourly. Okay, so how many bars are on this chart that we're looking at here, this is since November 11th. Basically, you're looking at 172 bars, guys, 172 bars. And there was only one bar with the optimal sell location. And we sold on it, right? Are we lucky? No, we're not lucky. We're smart. We're not gambling. We're being strategic. We have a system in place. We're trading well. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing, right? Anybody who says trading's gambling, honestly, they just haven't made money trading, and they're I don't know. I get really annoyed by that argument when they say trading's gambling. It's like, when you go to Vegas and gamble, there's nothing, you can't go on the charts and look for these types of things. You can't be like, oh, well, on the roulette table here today, the black looks different today. It's got this like really cool thing. No, it's black was black yesterday, green is green today and yesterday, and the red is red, right? Like it doesn't change. Whereas like in the markets, there's moving variables that you can anticipate, things that you can look for, and then make subsequent decisions. I mean, if somebody says trading's gambling, honestly, in my opinion, it'd be like saying, like going to work is gambling. Like you hopping in your car is a gamble. So that in a sense, like everything's a gamble at that point if trading's gambling, right? Like there's a reason why I go on the roads. I take certain roads to the store. I feel safer going certain places. Maybe I choose one store over another store because, maybe the prices are lower, or maybe it's in a safer neighborhood or whatever. Like everything in life is a gamble. Let's put it that way. If you call trading gambling, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, back to this. How cool is it that we sold on that precise candlestick, where we did? And how did we know to do that? Well, let's head over to TradingView where the chart's a little bit better, right? We come over here. Here's the hourly. Here's the zone we sold in right up here. Why did we sell in that zone? Well, go back, do your research, right? We do. Well, we do. We go back and do our research. We go back in time. When was the last time it was up here? Barely, almost touched right there back in June, but like this is what we're looking at. So it's kind of a bigger zone, right? Like on an hourly chart. This was back in May of this year, but this was whatever this is right here was the last thing the market did before you got this kind of breakaway sell, right? Like it just kind of, we had a nice little defined support level right here, and the market was like holding it, and it just got too heavy. And then it just fell apart, right? And then for the next 6-7 months, it just fell apart, right? Like, I mean, it had some nice moves to the upside, but it just kept falling apart. So where did that phenomenon take place? And we're now revisiting it. Like we come back to November and we're revisiting that mechanism. Here it is, right? And so we put a sell precisely where that mechanism began, and we sold right there. So this has been a fun trade so far. I do like the fact that it has been able to pull back pretty significantly since the inception. That's why I haven't closed this trade yet, because I do think there is kind of a ways to go. I may consider closing if it revisits this old support level, but I think it's possible that this thing could actually, pull back almost long term. Like I think this could be like a trade that pulls into here or here, something like that. Definitely think that's possible. So I'm still hanging on to this trade. I'll let you guys know if I decide to close it, but for now, I'm really happy with what we did. This is one of those trades I feel a little more confident in versus some of the others. So definitely stay in this guy. And again, just how cool to be in that trade. All right. So that's the recap, right? And we do have several other trades on right now, like, and I'll probably review some of these to see if I still want to keep them. But most of these are like hourly time frame trade setups. I actually do have some on the pound franc that I wanted to review. Maybe I'll do that with you guys real quick. Oh yeah, these are still valid. So we come to a 5-minute chart. These could set up today on the pound franc. Look at this. So on the pound franc, 5-minute, you have this little area right here That's a nice little zone. Definitely want to buy inside that, right? There's another one. If you come out just a little bit more, I don't like to do my chart analysis on here, so I'll go back over here. It's elite if you do it on TradingView. Definitely charting analysis over here is just the best. Okay, so I told you guys I have let's go to a 5-minute. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so I gotta orient myself. Like, what am I looking at here? I think that's what I was looking at, is that right there. So it's starting to get away a little bit, but nonetheless, it's still a good spot. So the market's hanging out up here, and I think it's on the cusp of breaking down here pretty soon. And if it breaks down, you definitely want to have a buy in this little zone right there. And it's this low risk type of trade, but higher reward type of thing, you know? So that's my next buy zone. And then below that, I'm looking to buy, this is a longer term one. I really think another good spot would be something like this. Yeah, something like this would be a really good zone. It doesn't look like the market's ever touched this, not yet, which is a good sign. You want to be the first to ever touch these zones. The worst type of trades are, in my opinion, not the worst, but worst type of setups are when the market comes in, touches the zone, goes in your favor, makes your money, and then it comes back and retests the zone. The more times it comes into the zone, the less likely you're going to be profitable. You want to catch the first touch into the zone and then go from there. So the market hasn't tapped into this one yet. The first time it ever taps into it, I want to take it. You could do it again on the second time, but it's not as likely. So um, that's why you want to use limit orders, these buy limit orders, these sell limit orders, because you will be the first person to get into the trade if you set these up. So these are my two places of buy interest, but I wouldn't be willing to buy anywhere in between these. Like in this black abyss right here, I'm not a buyer. I am not touching this. In fact, it's almost like a better sell if you sold in between here. But yeah, if it got into here, I will buy. If it gets into here, I will buy. And I have those set up already. Those, and you guys should hopefully have those set up too. But if not, I'll send you a screenshot on Telegram so you guys can copy these trades if you want to. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. You guys do what you think is best for your trading. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a buy right here. And then, yeah, I love these zones because they're kind of tight. And so if this thing works out, like the reward on these guys is pretty big. Like on this trade, there's no reason why you can't have a 3-to-1 at least, maybe even more. Like you can totally go for that. 3.2-to-1. That is totally reasonable on that one right there. And then oops, let's connect again. And same thing right here. This one definitely, this one maybe even like 5-to-1, honestly. Like it's totally possible. And people look at this and they're like, what a weird place to buy. No, it's not weird. It's totally not. You guys have seen it. You guys have literally seen what we've been doing. So you look at that 5.6-to-1 on that one. That's totally possible. Even if you just put it like at this old resistance, that's still 3.8-to-1. 3.8-to-1. Okay, how many losses can you afford if you win on that trade? See, that's, you totally can handle some L's in between if you do lose on some of these, which we do. We've had some last night that lost, right? But so we're more willing to accept a loser since we are winning pretty big on some of these trades, right? Okay, so that's good. I'll review a lot of these. I'll send an updated screenshot over for you guys to take and go over on your own account. We'll let the bank close trade do its thing. It's being really slow, which is fine. Pretty customary to be slow at this hour. But yeah, we're looking for a pullback here on the Euro Franc. We'll let this thing pull back, today. We'll see what happens. But yeah, overall good day. Like I'm happy. Like I'm up on the day. I had, in fact, let's count these real quick. I'm just curious to see, like, real quick before we wrap up, I want to see what my losses and profits are. So I had a 1224.4 winner minus 281.4 minus 1071.80 minus 168.08, and then let's see, and then plus 249.58 minus 5.29 plus 12.34 and then plus 602.50. So that's my realized gain today is $562. But then if you go over here, what is it like? We're up 1,200 bucks plus 1,200. So I mean, that's kind of what we're really at today. And that's a pretty good day, I'd say. Pretty good little day. Um, um, and even the realized, obviously unrealized is where most of the profits are, but even the realized is still profitable, even with some of the losers that we took. And some of those losers honestly were super dumb, like especially the euro pound. I feel like the euro pound was the dumbest because we took the loser minus $1,000, and the whole idea was like we were going to make all of our money back on the next zone, which in hindsight we look at it and we're like, yeah, we would have, but it missed our entry by 1 pip. So it's okay. But we'll just take better trades. I might inch up a little bit on some of my entries just so that we can get in a little bit faster. And like I said, I'm going to update the page here with new trades. I'm going to get rid of stuff that I don't want to trade anymore. You'll get a new screenshot from me this afternoon. So just keep an eye out for that. But other than that, guys, good day so far. I'm sure we'll just have to wait on the bankers close to finish doing what it's doing later, and I'll give you an update on that too. But other than that, guys, appreciate your attendance. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you in the next webinar.